All right, Rick, we are back. Man, it's been a long time since we recorded.
Back in business. This is the longest we've gone taking a break. So
yes,
needed, but we apologize. And it's not going to happen again.
I was out of town 1 week. You were out of town 1 week.
Yep.
So, spring breaks are done, and let's get busy. It's quarterfinal season.
And I think we didn't even take this kind of break around Christmas. So it just shows you what our priorities are. I think spring break over the rest of the holidays in the calendar.
I mean, it's really the fact that our spring breaks didn't line up. That was the only glitch. Otherwise,
Correct.
Our dedication to this podcast for Masters athletes is at 100%. So, but we do
Holidays
know,
begin.
I know what it's like when my favorite podcast is not published. I feel lost. I don't know what to listen to.
Yep.
So we're excited to be back, and we'll have lots of consistency going forward. We've got quarterfinals, then 2 weeks, then semifinals, then lots of talk as we get closer to the games and summer. We'll have lots of guests because that's what we do. This episode is powered by Thirdzy, your go-to for game-changing sleep recovery. Imagine hitting your workouts harder and waking up feeling unstoppable. That's what Thirdzy's PM Recovery Collagen does for me. It's like pre-workout, but for your sleep, fueling your body's active recovery processes without any melatonin or sedatives. Just 1 scoop before bed supports deeper, more restorative sleep so you can crush your fitness goals. Ready to experience the best rest and recovery? Visit Thirdzy.com and transform your nights into recovery power hours. Thirdzy, because sleep is the ultimate recovery tool. That's THIRDZY.com. Save 20% with code Jasonzzz. Let's get into the show. Tell us, just catch us up on what you've been up to the last, if you want to share. I think you had a pretty cool experience.
Went over to Italy last week because my middle child, our daughter, is studying over there in Florence, and so lined it up with the young one's spring break here, and went over to Italy, and it was not an exercise fitness focused week, but you have weeks like that, and I trained very hard, finishing the open leading up to the day before I left, because I knew that it was going to be a lot of walking, a tiny bit of running, a lot of push-ups, air squats, and plank holds, and that was it, because the hotels did not have gyms, and there were too many tourists on the narrow streets of the few towns that we were at to even move in a straight line. It was more like dodging traffic and try not to get hit by scooters and motorbikes. But great time, great experience, fantastic food, and like real food. Like I ate whatever we needed to and don't feel too bad coming back. However, and I'll get your take what you've been up to, but we know how quickly quarterfinals are approaching, and thank goodness it's I'm gonna do my best, and we'll just see where it lands. I'm not scaring anybody on the leaderboard, but what I want to do is make it to the next round and keep putting the pedal down as we advance in the season. So
and the season is moving quickly, and I over the past couple of weeks, I competed at Beach Brawl 2 weekends ago, and then continued in Pensacola for a spring break. So that was my spring break versus your spring break. And I really enjoyed competing on a team. It was my first time competing on a team since, I don't know, 2018 or something. Maybe I did a team competition with a friend, like a Halloween competition, where it had some fitness involved, and it was really fun. But yours was
such
a
fun
experience.
Yeah, I was going to say higher level.
Yes,
it wasn't
higher
Legends
level
or something like that, but it was higher level as a team with 2 other guys that knew what they were doing. I watched a lot of your live streams.
We had a blast, and it was one of the funnest competitions I've done because of that team camaraderie that we had. It was like, we're cheering each other on, pushing each other. And now at the same time, there was part of me, because we did do a max lift in this competition. One of us did a max snatch, another one did a max clean and jerk, another one did a max thruster. I wanted to stay well within the safe range on all of that, knowing that we're in the qualifier season. So I think, I actually tied my PR snatch. I felt great. Maybe it was because it was warm out. There's all that adrenaline. I could have thrown on some more weight to try to do something really fun on the snatch, but it's qualifier season, and I don't need to
Right.
do anything crazy that would potentially jeopardize quarterfinals or semifinals. Right now, it's be as fit as I am, stay as fit as I can be, stay as injury free as possible
Hmm.
at the same time, because there's a couple of important weekends coming, and there's not a lot of wiggle room when with injury.
No.
When you have quarterfinals and semifinals. So
When something happens, and you need 4 weeks to let something heal or something,
yep,
you don't have.
yep,
We have no 4-week windows. I think the largest window was between open and quarters,
yes,
and
yep.
everything else is compressed. And for those lucky and fortunate and skilled individuals that do make the games, yes, you have a long window. So if you tweak
Then we've got a
something,
gap.
then you've got some
Yeah,
time, and you can't go
yep.
100% either. But that's part of training. Our joint friend Renee has been telling me about beach brawl for quite a while. I've seen the video, started to follow him, and then she's a regular competitor there, and then you end up saying, "Oh, I'm going to compete on a team down there," and sure enough, you guys are flopping around in the sand with burpees. And how was the weather though? It was hard to. It's
Oh,
pretty good, wasn't it?
so our weather on Sunday was
Right.
spectacular.
Okay. All
Wednesday
right.
it was very windy, and that was elite teams. Sunday was masters and intermediate teams. We had gorgeous weather. I burned everything. My
Yeah.
face was peeling off for a few days. I just
Whoops.
it was cloudy, but it was beautiful, and I got totally burnt. And then we actually had 2 days of bad weather. One glorious day on the beach where we spent about 8 hours on the beach with the kids, and got all the sun possible. It was
Well,
amazing.
that's
But
because you had 2 bad weather days. You got to make up
too
for it
bad
all
with
the
we owed it.
last
Yeah, we
day.
did. We did it
Yeah.
all on one.
Oh, get
But the
all the sun.
competition was run really smoothly. And yeah, we did burpees in the sand. That was my least favorite part, although it was very, very fun to
Sure.
experience a sand event. It's really
Yeah.
fun. But sand is everywhere, man. Those shoes, uh, the shoes I wore, because I'm not a guy that's going to do burpees in the sand barefoot. Okay, there's some people that are, but I don't do anything barefoot. So I don't want my baby feet to
Hmm.
get like injured in the sand. It would be
Yeah.
just like me to break a toe on a
Correct.
burpee. So I
That was a
wore shoes.
log.
There was sand on those
That was a
shoes. It
log
was a
you were
log.
jumping over? Yeah. You
Yeah,
don't need to clip
burpees
that
over a
with
log.
a
No,
toe, and yeah. Not now.
and honestly, like if you clip it with the toe, I mean, you're literally not jumping 2 inches off the ground. It's just silly. But I'm the guy that's going to break my toe, and I don't
Hmm.
want to do it. So,
Oh, no,
yeah,
no.
it was.
I am that. Remember, wait a minute. I am.
You actually,
I
you
am.
are. You are
Yes.
that
Yeah.
guy. Yes, you are.
Yes,
Yes, you
I
are.
have.
Well,
Not
we've
good.
got some CrossFit news that we. I mean, not a ton of it has been going on in the CrossFit
Right.
space, but we do know a couple of things, or at least we've been we've been able to understand a few things. I think one of the things that came up in news for masters athletes was a post that I saw that then I checked out, and it looks like it's confirmed. Is that when you sign up for the quarterfinals as a masters athlete, you can sign up as individual or you can sign up as a masters. A lot of us, I know that I qualified for both, but you go and sign
Hmm.
up as a
Yep.
masters athlete. And if you qualified for both, on the next page after your master's registration, it says that go ahead and would you like to register for the Indy quarterfinal for free?
Hmm.
And if you click that as a master's athlete, 50% of the revenue of your registration fee goes towards the bucket that pays for the individual CrossFit games, and 50% that goes to the masters budget for the CrossFit
Hmm.
games. And uh, you know, we I went ahead and posted about that on Instagram, and there were just so many people that didn't know that because it wasn't clear. It'd be nice if
Absolutely
CrossFit just
wasn't.
said, "Hey, sign up for Indy. Oh, and by the way, this is going to take half the registration." And send it over in that direction.
Yeah.
And again, we're fully on board with the individual games.
Hmm.
It's fine, but there's plenty of individual athletes that can help fund that for quarterfinals, masters athletes. What we know is that the money that we pay to register for quarterfinals goes towards the budget for the Masters CrossFit Games. And unless you think you're going to make it to the individual semifinals, there is no reason to check that button and
Correct.
send
Yeah.
some of the money in that direction.
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on that
As
when you saw that?
well, it was obviously a priority. I got back late Sunday night, and I'm still working on my taxes, and I've got a million things to catch up on work. Um, got everything to do around the house, and what's the first thing I do is I register for quarterfinals. But I had seen that
Heck yeah.
post, so yeah, especially this year, as we know how dependent the community is going to be with the budget broken out first time, our own event in Birmingham. I think it's very important, and it would have been helpful to catch a little bit more because,
Yep.
as a 50-plus-year-old athlete, I don't need. It's great you do one workout and you get put on two leaderboards, but I don't need to be reminded
Right.
I'm going to be in 20,000th place. I
Right.
don't care.
Right.
Um, I'm concerned with what I'm going to be doing in the 50 to 54 category next week. That's all that bothers me.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
bothered me that it wasn't super clear. So registered,
Yeah.
skip that screen, and motivated and ready to roll.
Done.
Yep.
So, Masters athletes, register, get it done. I think we have until just before the scores are due in that first window,
First
I
window.
believe. Is that
Right.
correct?
I
Yeah.
think so. It's similar to
So,
the Open. Like you can
yeah.
register for the Open up until week one is done
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
Monday. For us, the first
Um,
submission window is Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Saturday.
And to be clear, quarterfinals, our workouts get released a week from tomorrow. We're recording this Tuesday. We'll have
Right.
this published before midnight tonight. When people are
Hmm.
listening, it'll probably be Wednesday. So in 1 week, quarterfinals will be released.
Right.
You might as well register now. Just get that out of the way so it's one
Hmm.
of the things off the checkbox. After we talk about anything else that we know in the news, we're going to talk about all the other things you should do to prepare for quarterfinals to be ready before next week. But definitely get registered. Go out there, get it done. If you're on the fence, just know that when you register for quarterfinals, you are throwing your hat in the ring. You're putting your money on the table in support of the Masters community and the Masters CrossFit Games, and
Right.
you get to log a score. Like,
Yep.
get it on there. See where you rank against all the Masters athletes on the planet this year. And I've registered for everything available since 2013, Rick. Everything I've
Hmm.
qualified for, I've registered for, and CrossFit has all of that data on the website. You could see how I placed in the AGOQ in 2016. It's fun
Hmm.
data to have. It's really fun to
Absolutely.
go back and look at those numbers. So do it, make it official, and pause this podcast right now, just in case. If you're
Go
on a
find
train, on a plane, just go do it. Get it done.
go find the email that was sent to you from CrossFit. Congratulations, you advanced. It's a great
Yep.
email to receive. I know it was a little different this year because it was the top 25%, but still, you made it
Hmm.
through healthy. You're ready to compete, whether you're going to use it as a training tool for the following year, or whether you're someone who's in a position as a male or a female that you think you're going to be able to advance to semis. Um, it's important. So don't forget
Yep.
to register, and then also don't forget to put your scores in, because I know that happens from time to time too.
I picked up another discrepancy between the registrations last year and this year, Rick, or in the email. I think it was the email.
Hmm.
Not sure if it was email or registration, but it said this year that individuals for quarterfinals will be required to submit a video. Age group athletes there may be a request for age group athletes to submit a video,
Correct.
and that is a slight different wording this year than
Yes.
last year.
Uh,
Tell us about that. You were
I,
on it. You seem eager.
well,
Tell
no,
me
I
more. That's
do,
all I know.
because you just jogged my memory. Of course, I don't have the rules up in front of me, but in the rule book, when that was released, I believe it said if you are somewhere, remember, they're taking 200 per age group per
Yes.
category, male, 200
Yep.
females. I think the number was if you're going to be in the top 600, you could be eligible to be asked for a video. So if you think you're
Okay.
going to be somewhere in that zone and they ask and you can't produce, you get a 0 for that score.
Got
So
it.
we can
Got it.
verify it. We could put it in the show notes afterwards. Again, I'm not going to kill time rustling through papers, but
Yep.
I'm pretty sure there was a much wider band outside of your top 200 where they felt like if your score was, if they just wanted to see it, or they said, we're going to take workout number
Yep.
2 from, I don't know, everybody. I don't know how they're going to do
Yeah.
it. It would be really curious to ask somebody from HQ when we have
Yes.
a guest or two on after this is
Yep.
over with, how that, I always have lots of questions on how the whole judging video review
Me too.
process works. And we've heard
Yeah.
it on some podcasts too. But again,
Yep.
this is a different year. Our numbers are completely different than the quarterfinals for
Yeah.
teams in terms of numbers or individuals. So looking for that.
It's a lot of there'd be a lot of video review, but I do remember years ago in age group qualifiers. I don't I don't think we submitted a score. I mean, a video with our score like we have
Mm-mm.
in the past couple of
No,
quarterfinals.
nope.
It was an email that went out that said you had to watch for it because
Hmm.
they would say something like, "We would like you to submit your video for event number 2," and it was an email you received. You'd click a link, you'd upload it into
Hmm.
a Google form,
Hmm.
and that would be the video review process. And I remember one year, like it went to my spam folder, and I had to find it. Like it
Panic
was nerve
attack.
wracking,
Yeah.
panic attack. So it could be something like that. There's lots of ways that they can collect that video. So what we do know is that we have to have those videos ready for them, and we'll talk about how to get ready for doing a video in a little bit here. But have that ready, and I'd be curious to see if what they're going to require of us. How
Right.
many of us will actually get a video request?
And
I want
last,
every video.
not to go down too far the last year's rabbit
Yep.
hole or 2 years ago, but with the smaller semifinals field of 30 per age group,
Hmm.
cutting it down to 10, I believe they asked for the video upon score submission, but
They
that
did.
didn't mean they were going to review it. Thanks to a
Right.
couple of my clunkers last year, I know they didn't review because I didn't get that email check back that I know you got.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't review every single video. I think if it was a top score or you were in a qualifying position or close to,
Yep.
that triggered the, okay, let's go look. And they already had them because they asked for them upon submission, upon
Sure.
score submission. This year
Yep.
probably reverts back to what you just described. Years
Yeah.
past.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I know that you are a fan of video review. I'm a fan of video
Hmm.
review.
Yep.
I think in a perfect world, it would be it'd be so nice if they would potentially outsource that to the community. I know there are, you know, people behind a computer on a daily basis that would love to watch videos, that would love to review videos. If they did something like an open leaderboard and you have to submit your video, all the videos are live out there
Hmm.
for everyone to see, and you can upvote the video or downvote the video, just the general public does. And maybe there's a certain amount of downvotes that trigger an official review of a video. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Right.
Then you get the whole community involved, and you could have some people out there that would get
Oh,
really nasty, right? And
oh
just downvote
yes.
everyone's
Yeah,
videos.
absolutely.
Um, I don't know how you get over that, but maybe
Certain
you only get 5 downvotes.
certain podcaster would have material for years.
I mean, yeah,
That's
but I mean, I'll tell you what, I want to put all my videos out there um, for quarterfinals, especially quarterfinals, because there's no secrets really there. Um, I think it's fun to put them out there and let the world see, like this is what it looked like.
Mhm.
This is how I did it. I want I want to get I want to work through the qualification process with full transparency. Here's what my
Mhm.
reps look like. If they're good reps, they're great. If they're not, they're not. I know that there were some videos that showed up in the open that people submitted videos for, and there were some really gnarly reps. I've got a
Mhm.
couple of friends that love looking at the videos, and they'll send
Yep.
me captions
Oh,
of the videos
yes.
and be like,
I do too.
"Oh, dude, look at this guy! Look at this
Yeah.
guy!" And there really were some really bad reps out there. But I think it's much more fun to be transparent, to get clean reps.
Mhm.
It's satisfying. You qualify. You just know. I know that when I submit a video, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Um, and I am very, very clear with my judge. Like, if I have a no rep, you've got to call that. If that wall ball doesn't touch the target, call the no rep. If I don't stand up tall on a box jump, call that no rep. If I
I
don't touch my hands on the pad on a GHD, call the no rep.
I need to
Please.
hear it from you
Yep. Yep.
before it gets to video review because it's too
Oh my
late
God.
at that point.
Yes.
You can't redo because if I don't touch my hands to the GHD pad, I miss a rep, I go back and I do it again. That
Yep.
is not as penalizing as having a major penalty or a minor penalty assessed to you, I think,
Yep.
on after the fact. Um,
Yes.
and
And the the
Go
risk
ahead.
of having a bad behavior. Maybe
Hmm.
you maybe you don't lock out your first push jerk, right?
Hmm.
And then you don't
Sure.
lock out the second and the third, and someone doesn't say anything about your lockout, and now you have no good lockout reps on a push jerk. You've none
Correct.
because
Correct.
you were just working hard, you're in your zone, you're focusing, but you're not locking me. And if someone says, if someone walks by, I think about this at the Legends Championship. On the dumbbell thrusters on the final event, the
Hmm.
judge was like, "Hey, make sure you get low because the head judge will come over here and call you on it." And I know that you could almost see every time the head judge was making a lap around, everyone's
Right.
thrusters went a
Just a
touch deeper.
little bit deeper. Yep.
Um, so sometimes it just requires a judge to say, "Hey, hit that lockout," and boom, now you're going to make it evident and
Well,
clear.
um, I could just think I'm an old man, so that first overhead squat, you think you're going low enough, but maybe you're
Yes.
not. And this past fall at Masters Collective, we had that long chipper.
Yep.
I don't know. I was coming off a bar hang or toast a bar or something, and I pick up the bar and I go into an overhead squat, and the judge is like, no rep, lower. And you know what? I was able to correct right there. And then I could, the second and the third
Yes.
and the fourth, I could feel the difference. If that's
Yep.
not being called during, quarterfinals at my own place in the comfort of my area, oh boy, could that turn into a
Yes.
nasty score. And that's exactly what I do not want to have
Yep.
happen.
You don't want to have
Um,
that. And I know multiple people in historical years that have not made it to semifinals or to the games because unfortunately they had a judge that didn't call them on a rep and then they did
right,
bad reps and they got no credit on those reps and it was too late to redo it.
right.
So, whew, it's a
That's
lot
a
of pressure.
that's a long way of
But
of saying this, but, you're very open with sharing. I'm not
yep,
af I've performed at various live competitions. I'm not afraid of the movement and my movement quality, but I also don't share nearly anything on social media like you do.
yeah,
Our
yeah,
last podcast where you were showing my 24.3, it was
yeah.
a little unnerving at a point to know that people were looking at that I don't know
And
or
and
weren't a
watching you
judge. I'm
die.
like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, your stuff's out there. There are other
Yep,
athletes like yourself, many others that we can name that share a
yep,
lot and they have good
yep.
quality movement. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're not used to doing it, I'm like, again, I have nothing to hide. Haven't been called on penalties, knock on wood. I submit all my videos, but still, that's nerve
Hey, I
wracking.
don't know if I told you this.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know if you
very
knew
nerve
this, but
wracking.
we got more positive comments on that video on
Oh
YouTube
God, because I
than
died.
any of our other. No, they just loved
Because
it.
I
They loved
died.
seeing you work out because it was not that because I mean, well, one, you did
Look,
better on that workout than you thought because once we saw
right.
all the scores come in, you
Yeah.
did fine. It was just too early to know
Oh, I thought I
uh
blew it.
that you were above average. I know
Mhm.
you felt very average, but you did great. But actually to have everyone wants to see they there's almost an exhaustion that can happen when people see me over and over and over again do
Mhm.
something like that. They almost expect they know what grub is going to look like, but what does Rick look like
Mhm.
behind the scenes? And that's
Yeah.
really refreshing. So,
Bent over, grabbing my
guys,
knees, trying to suck wind in. Yeah, that's
I'll tell
me.
you what. In 2 weeks, so quarterfinals will be next week. We'll
Mhm.
record this podcast on the Wednesday that they're released, so we can jam and talk about all of the workouts. And then the following week, we will actually go through all of your events live on YouTube.
Oh my
I'm just kidding.
god. Oh my god. Let's see how they turn out first, please.
But
Yeah.
maybe,
Maybe we
just
pick
maybe we
something.
actually pick
Sure.
one of each or
Sure.
something like
One of
that. We
each of
could do
ours.
something fun.
We'll play
It'd
around
be
with
pretty
that.
fun. Anyway, let's the other piece of news, and I'm taking the news heading because there hasn't really been a ton of news, and that's normally your job. But you know what? You were out of the country, so I'm just
Mhm.
trying to keep you up to date, Rick.
Please
But
do.
there was a team quarterfinal, as you know,
Absolutely.
that was released last week, and we got to see what the team workouts looked like.
Mhm.
And I know when we were talking about this before the show started, your initial feedback was, "Wow, they're so." I can't remember. Simple. They're
Simple
so.
or I mean
Um,
they were never no workouts are easy.
Yes.
but the patterns or the designs, it was just I think very straightforward, very
Yep.
simple in terms of
Very vanilla. Is
yeah,
that
very
fair?
vanilla. Yeah, very vanilla.
Yep.
Now I've watched a number of pieces of other videos of some of the higher teams that have posted things. Oh my, they're destroyed.
Yeah.
Watching Con Porter and uh, oh, our name's escaping me down in Australia. Watching them fail muscle ups gives you an
Right.
idea um, that high level caliber of athlete doesn't usually fail a muscle up.
And so
So devastating.
they're vanilla, and I think that's one of the things I liked about them.
Cara Webb,
I don't know
sorry,
if like,
Cara
but the
Saunders
simplicity. Cara
could could
Saunders. Oh my
could
gosh.
not.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I
Yeah.
apologize. Oh my gosh.
But but to see them have these simple couplets. I mean, there's some chippers, different
Hmm.
kinds in there, but really simple workouts. And one thing that we know about the open was that they were very simple workouts in the open. I mean, we had a couplet, a triplet, and a couplet in the open. Um, a lot of couplets in quarterfinals, and they were um, so simple yet absolutely devastating, and also totally doable in a CrossFit gym. And
Hmm.
and then again, a really minimal burden, I think, on on a gym. And I think that's what we'll probably see if we want to take cues from that. I think that's what we'll see in our quarterfinals is that it's not going to be a huge burden on the gym owner. I can't imagine that we would be doing any 25-foot lengths of anything.
Hmm.
It seems like it seems like there weren't even floor plans or floor layouts for the team qualifier.
Right.
There wasn't floor plans or layouts for the open, which we've seen in the past. So it tells me that we're probably going to stick with this theme at least through quarterfinals of
Right.
ultra simple workouts that on paper, toes to bar and dumbbell snatches feels repetitive, but it's actually pretty devastating. Or
Hmm.
deadlifts and shoulder to overhead. They're simple yet devastating in their potency, right? The density of those workouts.
And to follow up on that, the quarterfinals for teams had no 25-foot type of
Correct.
movements, and I think those first two stages, the open and quarterfinals, are their largest participatory
Yes.
stages in terms of pushing numbers through. And we've heard ad nauseum about the affiliates and from the affiliates about how difficult it is to lay floor plans out. So the
Yeah.
situation was rectified, but now their complaint or not, their voice was you have a larger number of quarterfinal athletes going through. How are we going to navigate through regular class and that? So they have
Yeah.
to still be respectful of that. When you get to
Yeah.
age groups and teenagers, at the semifinal stage, still remote, then I think you can do a little bit more because you're working with such
Agreed.
a smaller
Yeah.
field, and then the elites
Yes.
go to in person semifinals, and you can do
I
whatever you want there.
completely agree. And that I think if you this year we have a brand new larger field of 25% of individuals and age group athletes all getting the same workouts at the same time. And so we'll be doing the same workouts as 20-year-olds. Again,
Hmm.
that's new. Huge pool of people doing quarterfinals that have never done quarterfinals before. So I think CrossFit as a as a as a fitness test and as a business, they're- if I was them, I'd be trying to build workouts that are doable and as broad and as inclusive as possible, right?
Right.
That's what they do in the open. And the quarterfinals is almost this extension of the open with
Hmm.
probably a little more complexity, a
Right.
little heavier, but still not quite semifinals. Like, I don't think we're climbing a rope in quarterfinals like we did last year, right? I
Right.
think I mean, maybe, who knows, but it really feels like we'll stick to things that can be doable by most people. Um, so that when people sign up for quarterfinals, I mean, imagine how many people are waiting to see what the workouts are before they put $50 on the table. So
Absolutely.
if I'm CrossFit,
Yeah.
I want to release workouts that someone that's on the fence says, "Hey, those look like I could do those. Here's my $50."
Yeah.
And yes, of course they're devastating. Of course, as a fitness test, we're going to be just drenched and flat on the floor when we're done.
Right.
But People can do toes to bar, people can do dumbbell snatches. Ring muscle ups is a stretch, but maybe there's a way to
But it
get to those ring muscle ups and workouts,
right.
right?
It was not your
Yep.
buy-in is 30 ring muscle ups and then you start your
Yep.
workout because then people would turn
Right.
around and say, "I'm not doing that." Well,
I'm not putting
it
my
was
money.
quarterfinals for individuals last year that had the 275-pound ground overhead maybe?
Clean
I
and
forget
jerks.
was it
Yeah.
okay. All right. Yeah,
Yep.
and that floored a lot of folks. They did a bunch of box
Yes.
jumps and then stood at the bar. I don't blame them. I
Yep.
would have done the same. You guys can all
Yep.
do that, but it would have stopped me dead in my tracks. But
Yep.
um yeah, if they don't do that with well, they can put the weight on for the individuals. They're not going to put that kind of weight for the
Yeah.
age groups, but it'll be
Yes.
challenging as it should, but it won't. It
Yes.
shouldn't stop any of us in our tracks completely. Let's put it that way.
Any predictions, Rick? There's 4 events, or there's 4 events. Do you think there will be 5 scores?
I sure hope so. Absolutely, I'm counting on that.
Yeah.
I don't believe there were for teams, right? There were
No, there was not any
four
heavy lift
scores.
or
Oh
max
my
lift. Four
gosh.
scores.
Please give us 5 scores. 4 events, 5 scores. The rower will be involved. Boy, that's low-hanging fruit. Um,
Yep.
uh, a higher skill. So, like, teams receive ring muscle ups. We saw bar muscle ups in the open. Maybe we do get rings or
Yep.
um, I don't know, I did chest to bar. Wall balls. We'll
Right.
get wall balls.
Yeah, wall balls would be great. Yep.
The rope. Did they have ropes?
They did
Can't
not.
remember here. They did not. No, no rope.
No rope
So
climbs.
no jump ropes, double unders. I don't.
Oh, I don't think
I
so,
don't think they did. I'm just looking
but I
through
don't
them right
remember.
now. Um,
Yep.
no, they did not. So maybe we get a
Yep.
rope. I'm not saying single
Right.
crossovers or anything like that, but maybe we just get uh, double unders being another way to test, I don't know, maybe some type of
Yeah.
monostructural work because
Yep.
rower and in place of the what do we have 100 shuttle runs last year in
Shuttle runs.
quarterfinals? Yeah,
Yep.
that was
Speaking of,
ridiculous.
given that we've been through the open and have seen the team
hmm
quarterfinals, and there has not been a shuttle run yet.
They're
Um,
saving it.
Gosh, saving
They're
it for
saving it for
when? Until
semifinals.
listen, it's fine. I'm much more ready for shuttle runs this year than I was last year, and and
Eh,
and as opposed to you, I know that if they do a fifth score, right? If there's one event that has 2 scores, if one of the scores is probably a max lift,
mm,
and I am both excited and nervous about max lifts always. Anytime we're pushed to where we do something at max load, our risk of injury goes through the roof.
mhm,
So it always makes me a little nervous. And I'll tell you, last year during quarterfinals, there was that 2-part workout where we did the AMRAP with wall facing handstand push-ups, GHD sit-ups, and tall box jumps.
mhm. Right,
And that was a 9 or 12 minute AMRAP. And
right.
then we did a max clean after that. I hit
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
hit the load.
Oh.
I hit a big lift. I actually PR'd my clean and then added 5 more pounds to do an even heavier clean. And it was on that heaviest clean that I hurt something in my inner thigh. One of my adductor muscles was hurt, and almost put me in jeopardy
Mhm.
for the rest of the weekend. So I'll tell you what, those max lifts, I love them and I hate them and I love them all at the same time. I was so excited to hit the lift I hit. At the same time, I felt a pop and I was really nervous about it. So I'm in between. I could do away with that extra
You
one. We'll save that for
but
semifinals.
you can think about this now. You can do 5 scores for events, and you can have um, a score inside, like a time check inside, and that can be
True.
I'm just thinking like when they rode the marathon, they had 2 scores in that
Mm,
in the games. They had a
yes.
2K or it was the half marathon, excuse me. Maybe it was a half, whatever it was. They had a 2K time that counted as a score, and then they had the final time.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
you could have something like that where it doesn't involve a max lift or a complex or
Okay.
something heavy,
Okay.
but still get another score. But are we going to see that quarterfinals? The more you talk about it, the more you're
I know.
talking me out of. They're going to stay simple, and
Any
that means
creativity,
floor
simple.
plans. That means movements, and that means if we say there's going to be 4 scores, you get 4 events, you're going to get 4 scores.
Maybe, maybe. Um, we will
We'll find
soon
out.
know.
Yeah.
So, Rick, as you start to think about quarterfinals next week, you're the kind of guy that has checklists and you're well
Hmm.
prepared. What are some things that you make sure you've got ready? What do you need to make sure you get ready in the next week to hit the ground running next Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you do the first workout?
My biggest thing, and I already started to look, is coming back from vacation with the phone. Took a lot of pictures, threw videos on
Yep.
for plane rides and things. Like, I've got to do some phone maintenance. That's
Ah,
first and foremost.
yep.
Because as far as equipment, I trust my rope. I'll tighten the screws on the rope, and I do have a backup. I'll pull it out if needed. I'll have it next to me. But gosh,
Of
I'm
course.
not familiar with it so anymore. So I really hope I don't need it. But in a pinch, I'll have that. Tighten
Yep.
those up. Make sure all the equipment's checked off before I head out the door. Um, how about you and I talked about this ahead of time? How about we read the rules, read the workout
Yes.
description? Don't rush through it.
Yes.
You don't have to have all 4 of them done by Wednesday at 8 o'clock at night. I mean, relax. You've got a long
Yep.
time. Read. Read it
And
twice.
it, with that, um, yes, how many people? I know one person last year that didn't make it through quarterfinals because they didn't put the tape line
Uh
for
huh.
the wall facing handstand push-ups up
Correct.
correctly. It was
Oh,
10 inches from the inside of the tape or the outside of the tape,
yeah.
whichever it
Yep.
was. It has to be dead clear. So read those thoroughly. Take your highlighter, highlight them. Listen to our podcast. What we'll try to do certainly
Hmm.
Wednesday is go over any of those things that we're like, oh, hey. If we'll make sure we try to cover those little details that you may miss. But make sure you hit the standards.
Uh,
The standards are very clear.
right. I mean,
Shuttle run.
I'm saying this. Not everybody's in this situation, but if you're doing quarterfinals with more than just yourself, more than just by yourself, um, don't be afraid to ask. The athlete, your buddy, male or female, right next to you, like, "Hey, does this make sense? Read this.
Yep.
You've
Yep.
read it. I've read it. Have we reached the same conclusion? Why are we
Yeah.
going to do this next to each other? And your setup looks way different than mine. What's
Yeah.
missing here?" Um,
Yeah.
if you're by yourself in a garage, then you're going to have to rely upon your gut and your instincts and
Yep.
your
Yep.
thoroughness. But ask somebody else. Just make sure you're on the
Yes.
same page. If 5 of you agree on it, chances are it's not going to be wrong. You've read it
Yep.
properly. So don't
Yep.
be afraid to share a little information before you hit 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. Yep. And I'll second the fact that you want to make sure that phone is cleared off. Make sure you've got plenty of space on your phone. Um, Make sure it's charged the day of.
Hmm.
You
Oh
have
yeah.
plenty of battery. Um, Even now, it's time to get on Amazon. If you don't have a tripod, if you don't have
Hmm.
something to set your phone on,
Yep.
get a cheap tripod. A metal one I mean, I've had a tripod for years. I've used the same
Hmm.
one forever, but it's reliable. I'm the type of guy that has two cameras,
Hmm.
so I actually have a setup where I have my iPhone plus a GoPro going at the same time from the same vantage point, and it's just redundancy. The other thing I do is, as soon as the workout is done, if I've got the time right then and there, I transfer the video from my phone to my laptop. So I'll just do an airdrop over to my Mac, and now I have it in two places. Okay, so if my
Correct.
phone gets dropped, if I lose my phone, something
Yep.
happens. I know,
Yep.
God forbid, but still, if I have it backed up in two places, I feel much safer. And honestly, the way I do it, I back it up to my computer, and as soon as it's on my computer, I start uploading it to YouTube. And
Hmm.
within an hour of a workout, it's in the cloud, it's on my computer, it's on my phone. I'm not even thinking about it. And I do that with both my primary camera and my backup camera. And that the one thing that's nice about having two cameras, guys, is you have two slightly different angles. So for some reason, the iPhone doesn't see your feet clearly on thrusters for whatever reason,
Hmm.
right? You've
Right.
got that GoPro
Or the
and
top
it's
of
got a
your
little wider
elbow on a
lens
thruster. Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
something
Something
just
like that.
happens, right? It has happened. It can happen. Another thing that you can do if you don't have a GoPro, like grab someone else's phone. You got two phones recording at the same time. Really simple,
My
and
my i my
it,
GoPro has been
I,
dead for a number of years, but what I've
but
done
your
in a
iPad,
lot well, yes, I pulled that out, but also
yep,
sometimes I'll go with 2 or 3 people at the same time, and
yeah,
we all have our
yep,
cameras in relatively the same spot.
yeah,
So I'm their
yep,
backup, they're my backup. I might not speak into their
precisely.
phone, but if push came to shove, I could produce their video and say,
Yes,
"This is me."
this is it.
I haven't had to do it, but there's always backup there.
Are you the type of guy that has a clock in the frame of the camera, or do you
It
use
all
a
depends.
WOD timer or an app? Yeah,
I use the app, so then I just
yep,
know that the timer's there and it
yep,
goes. If depending on the workout, we don't move our clock around. It's just
yes,
fixed on a wall. So sometimes it'll be in the background, sometimes it won't. I
yep,
just like having it in the app because the start is there, the finish is there.
yeah,
When you drop from a rope and that's your final rep, you can exactly see when the time stops.
yes.
Um, it's
Now,
easy.
this is I've never used the app. I said was in a virtual competition where I did use the app one time.
Mhm.
But how do you sync up the app with the clock on the so that you know where you're at in the workout? Is there a way that you sync that up, or how do you do that?
Well, uh, carefully.
Yeah.
The app gives me 15. It's always a choice, you know. The app gives me I've
Yes.
put mine on 15 seconds because that's maximum amount of time to, make sure everything's set squared away.
Yep.
And usually I have somebody with a remote and at my phone at the same time. And when they start my phone, when that's at 10 seconds, the wall clock. But my book of record is my phone with the app.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I
So
have
they'll stand behind your phone and
Oh
tell you
yeah.
three, two,
And if
one.
people are watching too, you have 30
Yep.
seconds left or you have 15
Okay.
seconds left. There's
Yeah.
usually somebody yelling because the noise
Yep.
is so much, the music's going, you don't hear the
Yep.
little beep from your
Right.
phone.
Right.
It's much softer than the one on the wall. The one on the
And the one
wall
on the
is
wall can be a reference.
it's a
Just
reference.
kind of
Yeah.
a yeah.
10
Yeah.
seconds left. I know I'm just going to go until somebody says you're done or stop. And
Exactly.
uh all I care about is the book of record, which is my phone,
Yep.
and the
Yep.
app. That's the timer that counts. Again, we used to be able to move our clock around, but I know, and there's a couple clocks in our gym, but they've
Yep.
broken and dropped, and our owner doesn't like moving them around. I can't blame them; they're expensive
No.
to replace.
They are, and
Don't
I
abuse
have
them.
one in my garage that I'll take to the gym, in case because when it's on a wall,
You
you
can't.
can't
The
always
angle's
face that
bad.
direction with the
Yeah,
camera. Yeah,
or
so
so
I have
far
one that I move
away.
around. It could be so far
Yeah.
away. So I'm double redundancy if I can do it in the app and on a clock. But my
Hmm.
clock, the plug comes out really easily. So I'll even be the guy that like
Oh.
I'll put tape around that and I'll put tape around the plug and the extension cord. And then if I think someone might trip over the extension cord, I'll put plyo boxes around the outlet on the wall to defend
Wow.
every
You
yeah, I'm
are
crazy.
next level.
Well, bro,
But why
I'll tell
do
you what,
why do something over?
I I was watching Mayhem, or it came across my feed that their team was doing one of the workouts, and one of the cameramen,
Oh,
poor guy,
yeah.
tripped over the cord, stops the clock. They have to stop the workout,
Oh.
and uh, that is a nightmare. Again, it's quarterfinals. You could always redo the workout if you
Mhm.
had to, but
Right.
if you're deep into a total bar snatch workout, it's tough to do that again. Now, with that said, Rick, we have four events, potentially five scores,
Mhm.
hopefully, potentially. We get it Wednesday. We have till Monday. Two of the scores have to be submitted by Saturday night. The last two scores by Monday night.
Mhm.
Technically, I could do them all on Wednesday
Mhm.
and be done with it if I wanted to,
And
right?
there will be people that will try to do it in the first couple of days because of travel,
Yeah.
work, family
Yeah.
obligations,
Okay.
vacation. Hey, that is what it is.
So with that, there's potential that you could devise a plan to retest some of the workouts if necessary. You could
Mhm.
build a schedule
Correct.
depending on when the workouts get released and what they look like. You could say, okay, I'm going to do this one on Wednesday. I'm going to do another one Thursday. I'm going to take Friday off, and I'm going to leave Saturday for a potential repeat. Then Saturday afternoon, I'm going to do one of the next. You could get really creative
Mhm.
with your
Right.
schedule if you have just limitless time and these workouts, or it could be two a day and you're done and back to training. uh it's interesting when you have so much time and so much decision. There's almost an anxiety in that.
Right. Many more opportunities for redos than last year. The
Yes.
window was
Yes.
shorter. Did we have more scores? I can't even remember. The last couple of years, I thought we're busier. I don't
Can't
know.
remember.
It
I feel like we had 5 scores last year, but I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it felt very compressed, and redoing
Yes.
was out of my mind. Maybe some people
No
did.
way.
Um,
Yep.
Something would have had to gone really wrong, and in that case, you have no choice to redo. But
Yes.
um,
Yep.
this year, yeah, I know they gave us that extra window or that extra time because they heard feedback, and so they
Yep.
were, good about listening to community feedback.
Yep.
Trouble is what that does is redo time,
In
I think.
historical qualifiers, have you ever gotten all the workouts and thought that you had picked out the best order to do them in, and then realized after the fact that you should have done them in a different order?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember specific instances, but absolutely. I've messed but
Well, I have one.
that's
I
part of the learning
I have
process,
one.
right?
It
Yes. Let
is.
me
Do you
maybe
remember the time when we had a 4 rep max front squat? Was that
absolutely.
2021?
That was
Okay.
2021. Yes.
So, unless you're a numbskull, you're just going to do that first when you're absolutely freshest.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
I didn't. I'm like,
Oh,
no, 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 no. I did
it's only 4 reps.
I, it's only 4 reps. I did the rowing double under
Oh,
shoulder um, push press. I think wasn't it rowing and double unders and shoulder to overhead, or rowing and handstand push ups and
rowing
shoulder to
handstand
overhead, or
push-ups
some
and double
sho-
and shouldered overhead, correct. Because the double
double
unders
dumbbell.
came with the cleans that year.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So rowing, handstand push-ups, double
Shouldered
dumbbell,
overhead.
shoulder to overhead. So what
Right.
I did that first, thinking like, well, that'll be fine. Then I'll recover in that afternoon. I'll do the 4 rep max front squat. But what I actually did was I destroyed my shoulders earlier in the day. I really fatigued my core,
Uh-huh.
and then attempted 4 rep max front squat
Oh.
later that afternoon. And it was, I've made mistakes multiple times in qualifiers, but that was one of them where,
Uh-huh.
because it was a 4 rep max front squat, it's so demanding on the system that I think the next day I ended up doing the pistol GHD rope climb
Mhm.
test,
That
which
was
was
a
also very
long that
challenging.
was long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I tried to retest uh, the 4 rep front squat the next day, and I didn't have it. I did not have it in me because I accumulated fatigue and all of that.
GHDs
So
didn't help.
yeah, if when it comes down to strategy and when those workouts are released, that's another reason to just talk strategy with a friend.
Mhm.
Sometimes talking
Yeah.
out loud, you realize like, oh, hey, I actually should do the front squats first. Rick, what was I
Mhm.
thinking?
Right.
Back then, we weren't talking on a daily basis about
Nope.
this stuff. Now,
Nope.
as soon as they're released on Wednesday, we're going to be
We're
talking
talking. Yep.
immediately.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
have a friend, talk through that, avoid mistakes.
I did like the last couple of years of semifinals though, where it was a very defined schedule.
Yes.
And you just didn't have time to because it felt more like a live competition. And I think
Yes.
that is uh maybe it suits me better. I don't know. I like that feeling because there's no room for redo.
Yep.
You
I
don't get a
agree.
chance to redo on a competition floor in live competition.
Yep.
So the tighter the time windows were, you just had to put your best foot forward. You had to do it
Yep.
and
Yep.
upload the video, submit it, and move on to the second
Yep.
one because you only had 12 more hours and the next one was due. I'm like, okay, I kind
Yeah,
of like that.
they
I like
released
that.
they released they released all the videos for those that didn't do it last year. Historic is they released all of the workouts, but you were only allowed to do the first 2 in this window, and you had to
Hmm.
say a password
Right, which they only gave to you at
with
the
the
beginning of
video.
the window.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And then once the next window started, you had the new password. So it made it a lot less,
That's
you had a
it.
lot
Yep.
less decision fatigue. You just, these are the 2 I got to do. Which one do
Hmm.
I want to do first?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's what
guess
it was. There was
it
your
was really
decision tree.
clear. Yeah.
Yep.
It was, and the work, it was a no brainer. Yeah. Of course I'm doing this before that because I'm not crazy. I'm
Hmm.
not going to do 100 shuttle runs and then, whatever it was, you know, but, yeah, that was fun. So we'll see if there's anything we're missing or what we're going to learn next week. Maybe
Hmm.
they do the password system. Probably not. Looks like we get 4 events, and we have the weekend to do them. We just have to have 2 of them done by one time, 2 of them done by the other. But
Hmm.
maybe they'll throw in some surprises for us. That could be great. Surprises are fun.
This is the only time of year where you can get those kind of surprises. Let's hope they do.
Did we cover everything to prep? Oh, yeah. One of the things that you mentioned. So obviously we're talking about redundancy in cameras, redundancy in your jump rope. I'm a big fan of having redundancy with your grips.
Mhm.
So if we have
Sure.
something that's grip intensive, tons of toes to bar muscle ups, ring muscle ups, have that second pair of grips there and ready
Right.
in case that buckle snaps or the leather tears or something. Like I've had that happen in training. God forbid it hasn't happened in competition, but I like to have those things there and
Mhm.
ready. Um, we're gonna hydrate, we're gonna eat and fuel as if it's a training day. Keeping it really simple,
You've preached that for a
consistent.
long time. Don't introduce anything new to your body during
No,
quarterfinals weekend that you maybe haven't digested or
yep,
felt good eating. It's just not the time to take the risk,
nope.
Tuesday night
It's
is
not the
your
time to try that.
Tuesday night's Taco Bell run. I'm kidding. It's not. And Tuesday night
Right?
after is fine, but not
Yes.
Friday night. Please.
Yeah,
No,
go Taco Tuesday, the Tuesday after the event, have a little
correct.
celebration, but then buckle up because in 2 weeks you got semifinals. There's not a lot of time for deloading and celebration and recovery. It's time to get ready for semis, and then we could take that week off. But yeah, be simple. Don't introduce some sort of 300 milligram caffeinated pre-workout before you do an event at 5 at night or something. It'd
Oh
be
yeah.
too crazy.
Oh
Now,
no.
are you adjusting your work schedule at all, Rick? Or are you working
Yes.
full time through this?
No,
Yeah.
it's to be determined. Yes, I'm adjusting. I don't know how many mornings I'm going to get a chance to take off. So I'm
Okay.
telling you this for the first time. So I might be doing more afternoon. That
Yep.
would be Thursday, Friday, and
Okay.
then Saturday, Sunday we'll figure it out. And then I don't know what's left for Monday.
Sure.
I'm not sure.
Maybe you'll be done.
Yeah, I might be done. I hope
Yep.
I'm done. Um,
I hope I'm done too. I'd like
taking
to just
Mondays
train on
off are
Monday.
tough. So that's just me and my
Yes.
job. So
Yep.
I've
Yep.
got to find time because I'm not going to do them at 6 a.m. I'll tell you that much on
No.
Thursday or Friday. I'm
No.
not doing that.
No.
So
I
um,
would not do that ever. I don't care if I've got a flight. I'm just out. I can't work out
yeah.
at 6 a.m. You
So
know me.
my training this morning doesn't. I think I wasn't fully awake for that first legless rope climb today.
Legless rope climbs at 6 a.m.
Oh,
just sounds dangerous. It sounds
I
dangerous.
held on for dear life. Let's put it that way. I don't need that.
Well, Rick, it was great to
Likewise.
see you again and get this done. I'm super excited for quarterfinals. I know you are
Same.
too.
Yep.
We will be ready again next week. We'll record on Wednesday.
Right.
We'll publish it Wednesday night, and so when you wake up Thursday morning, there'll be a live or a fresh recording for you guys. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast, and Rick, I'll see you next week.
Looking forward to it. Have a good week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Masters in Motion podcast. We'd be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or your preferred podcast app. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us reach more listeners and grow our Masters community. Until next time, get bolder, not older.